Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam dear devotees. Today we are reading the book Bhakti, The Art of Eternal Love by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Today we will read the topic Setting Up Your Altar. You will likely find that your japa and kirtana are especially effective when done before an altar. Lord Krishna and his pure devotees are so kind that they allow us to worship them even through their pictures. It is something like mailing a letter. You cannot mail a letter by placing it in just any box. You must use the mailbox authorized by the government. Similarly, we cannot imagine a picture of God and worship that. But we can worship the authorized picture of God, and Krishna accepts our worship through that picture. Setting up an altar at home means receiving the Lord and his pure devotees as your most honored guest. Where should you set up the altar? Well, how would you seat a guest? An ideal place would be clean, well lit, and free from drafts and household disturbances. Your guest, of course, would need a comfortable chair, but for the picture of Krishna's form, a wall shelf, a mantelpiece, a corner table, or the top shelf of a bookcase will do. You wouldn't seat a guest in your home and then ignore him. You would provide a place for yourself to sit, too, where you could comfortably face him and enjoy his company. So don't make your altar inaccessible. What do you need for an altar? Here are the essentials. First one, a picture of Srila Prabhupada. Second, a picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates. Third, a picture of Sri Sri Radha Krishna. In addition, you may want an altar cloth, water cups, one for each picture, candles with holders, a special plate for offering food, a small bell, incense, an incense holder, and fresh flowers which you may offer in vases or simply place before each picture. If you are interested in more elaborate deity worship, ask any of the ISKCON devotees or get in touch with the BBT. The first person we worship on the altar is the spiritual master. The spiritual master is not God. Only God is God. But because the spiritual master is his dearmost servant, God has empowered him, and therefore he deserves the same respect as that given to God. The least disciple with God and teaches him the process of Bhakti Yoga. He is God's ambassador to the material world. When a president sends an ambassador to a foreign country, the ambassador receives the same respect as that accorded the president, and the ambassador's words are as authoritative as the president's. Similarly, we should respect the spiritual master as we would God, revere his words as we would his. There are two main kinds of gurus, the instructing guru and the initiating guru. Everyone who takes up the process of Bhakti Yoga as a result of coming in contact with ISKCON owes an immense debt of gratitude to Srila Prabhupada. Before Srila Prabhupada left India in 1965 to spread Krishna consciousness abroad, almost no one outside India knew anything about the practice of pure devotional service to Lord Krishna. Therefore, everyone who has learnt of the process through his books, his Back to Godhead magazine, recordings of his words, or contact with his followers should offer respect to Srila Prabhupada. As the founder and spiritual guide of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he is the instructing guru of us all. As you progress in Bhakti Yoga, you may eventually want to accept initiation. Before he left this world in 1977, Srila Prabhupada encouraged his qualified disciples to carry on his work by initiating disciples of their own in accordance with his instructions. At present, there are many spiritual masters in ISKCON. To learn how you can get spiritual guidance from them, ask a devotee at your nearby temple or write to one of the ISKCON centers listed at the end of his book. The second picture on your altar should be one of the Panchatattva, Lord Chaitanya and his four leaders associates. Lord Chaitanya is the incarnation of God for this age. He is Krishna himself, descended in the form of his own devotee to teach us how to surrender to him, specifically by chanting his holy names and performing other activities of Bhakti Yoga. Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful incarnation, for he makes it easy for anyone to attain love of God through the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And of course, your altar should have a picture of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, with his eternal consort, Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani is Krishna's spiritual potency. She is devotional service personified, and devotees always take shelter of her to learn how to serve Krishna. You can arrange the picture in a triangle, with the picture of Srila Prabhupada on the left, the picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates on the right, and the picture of Radha and Krishna, which if possible should be slightly larger than the others, on a small raised platform behind and in the center. Or you can hang the picture of Shri Radha and Shri Krishna on the wall above. Carefully clean the altar each morning. Cleanliness is essential in deity worship. Remember, you wouldn't neglect to clean the room of an important guest. And when you establish an altar, you invite Sri Krishna and his pure devotees to reside as the most exalted guest in your home. If you have water cups, rinse them out and fill them with fresh water daily. Then place them conveniently close to the pictures. You should remove flowers in vases as soon as they are slightly wilted, or daily if you have offered them at the base of the picture. You should offer fresh incense at least once a day, and if possible light candles and place them near the pictures when you are chanting before the altar. Please try the things we have suggested so far. It's very simple, really. If you try to love God, you will gradually realize how much He loves you. That's the essence of Bhakti Yoga. Next subtopic, Prasādam. How to eat spiritually. By his immense transcendental energies, Sri Krishna can actually convert matter into spirit. If we place an iron rod in a fire, before long the rod becomes red hot and acts just like fire. In the same way, food prepared for and offered to Sri Krishna with love and devotion becomes completely spiritualized. Such food is called Krishna Prasādam, which means the mercy of Lord Sri Krishna. Eating Prasādam is a fundamental practice of Bhakti Yoga. In other forms of yoga, one must artificially repress the senses, but the Bhakti Yoga can engage his or her senses in a variety of pleasing spiritual activities, such as tasting delicious food offered to Lord Sri Krishna. In this way, the senses gradually become spiritualized and bring the devotee more and more transcendental pleasure by being engaged in devotional service. Such spiritual pleasure far surpasses any material experiences. Lord Chaitanya said of Prasādam, everyone has tasted these foods before. However, now that they have been prepared for Krishna and offered to him with devotion, these foods have acquired extraordinary tastes and uncommon fragrances. Just taste them and see the difference in the experience. Apart from the taste, even the fragrance pleases the mind and makes one forget any other fragrance. Therefore, it should be understood that the spiritual nectar of Sri Krishna's lips must have touched these ordinary foods and imparted to them all their transcendental qualities. Eating only food offered to Sri Krishna is the perfection of vegetarianism. In itself, being a vegetarian is not enough. After all, even pigeons and monkeys are vegetarians. But when we go beyond vegetarianism to a diet of prasadam, our eating becomes helpful in achieving the goal of human life, reawakening the soul's original relationship with God. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that unless one eats only food that has been offered to him in sacrifice, one will suffer the reactions of karma. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.